Hey Wolang clan, welcome to Wolang Wednesday, where we have a casual chat about all things teaching world language. My name's Devin, and I am the teacher author behind Libre language learning or Libre language learning, depending on whether you teach French or Spanish. And I'm so glad that you're hanging out with me today. Hi, Maestra Patton, it's so nice to see you. So today for Wolang Wednesday, we're jumping on Instagram. The past two have been on Facebook Live. And hi, thanks for joining me. The Facebook Lives are available if you would like to see any of the other classes that I've done on virtual field trips, on teaching with CI readers, or any of those great classes. Let me know. I'd love to send you a link to them so that you can watch all that great content for free. But today what we're talking about is what to do when you just can't. When you just can't. How to know what to do when you need a mental health day, when you need a physical health day. Something where you know we've all had those days, and maybe this has either happened to you or it's coming up for you in the future. If it's coming up for you in the future, I'm glad that you're watching this now because you're going to need this, because it happens to everybody, especially now, where you show up to work, you feel like you got at least everything together, and then you just look at everything and you just put your head in your hands and say, I just can't. It's just not going to happen. We had that day yesterday in my family. There's been a lot going on this month for us. Life has just hit us really hard. And my husband is not the type of person who takes days off. I had to convince him, we need to take a day off. And you can either chill at home or do what you would like to do, but we need to take a day off as a family. And so I moved around some things in my schedule. He moved around some things in his schedule. And my son's school unexpectedly closed for COVID-related things, so it ended up working out beautifully, and we had to do the same thing. So I know what that's like, especially as a teacher. There are many times that I had to just roll with it when I just couldn't, especially during quarantine teaching. So I want to share with you exactly how you can make this happen and how to decide whether, should I take the day off? Is this a situation where I can take the day off? Or how can I make this work if taking a day off is not an option for you? So let's jump right into it. What to do when you just can't. So there's two ways that we need to organize this. One, did you wake up this morning and realize that you just can't? So you haven't left work yet because you have some different options if that's you. If this is you, then look at it this way, as there are some ways that you can go into school and you can change the plans that you already have pretty easily to make your life a lot easier that day if you're going through a really hard season. Maybe you're like my family and you just got some pretty hard news that's just really heavy and it's hard for you to go through your workday. Or maybe you're not feeling well, but you're not quite well enough to call out of work and it's just going to be hard for you and you need the kids to take more of the teaching on than you can do that day. Here's what you can do. I highly recommend that as soon as you are done watching this video, this is something that I set up in July at the beginning of my year, every year when I was still in the classroom, but you can honestly do it at any point, is set yourself up an I just can't binder or a substitute teacher binder, because I used to use the substitute plan sometimes for myself on days when I just couldn't. And here's what they can look like. Make a plan that covers an entire class period of however long your class period is, of any kind of lesson that works for whatever level you are teaching, in whatever format you are teaching, in a way that works with whoever might be in your classroom. So, show of hands, do you have something like this in your room right now? Is it easily accessible? Do you have some sort of sub binder? If you don't, this is what you need. What you need is either a folder or a binder very clearly labeled on your desk that says emergency substitute plans. And it needs to have in there all of your class rosters, any notes about your class rosters, names or anything like that. For example, nicknames or anything that they need to know, especially about those names, like when I was in the classroom and had trans students, like making sure that the substitute knew very clearly, like the student goes by this, and make it very clear, because that attendance roster can become very impactful in the wrong way if it's not explained well. And there also needs to be a quick little note from you. This will only take you 2 minutes to write, that says along those lines, "Dear substitute, thanks for being in my class. This is a quick rundown of what my schedule looks like most days. If it doesn't look like this today, here is the name and the room number of the person that you can go to for an updated schedule." That way you don't have to update it all the time. And you're not like dumping it on your colleague by any means. It's just that you should have in there a printed schedule of most days. And if something is wonky, you can show them exactly where they need to go in order to make that happen. Because the trouble that substitutes usually have, like when substitutes would knock on my door when I was still in the classroom, is they would say, like, this schedule doesn't match up, or this roster doesn't match up. Can you help me? And they just needed a little bit of direction. So giving them a place to go in case they need more information would be really incredibly helpful to them. And the third thing is have in there an incredibly easy plan for them to follow along with. If you can, make it something that the students already know how to use. Make it something that students already know how to use and how to follow along with. So for example, you could make it an adaptation of a lesson that you've already done, or an extension activity. Maybe it's something, if you have something like an activity you've already done and there's an activity you didn't get to, you could make that your sub-plans. You can also make this your plan that you're doing today on a day when you just can't, and you need something that the students are going to be doing most of the legwork for you that day. The other option is that I have for you 2 digital interactive notebooks for those of you who are using Google or have any kind of Google-based compatibility, let's say, depending on what's going on in your school, but a lot of teachers do. So I've made a resource for you that's completely free. Put in the comments below or send me a DM if you would like a link to those. They're high-frequency verb interactive notebooks that are really geared towards a level 2 refresher, but they work really well for wherever your students are at. Are completely self-explanatory. They have all the directions in them. All your students need to have familiarity with is how to work Google Slides. So if you teach either French or Spanish, these could be a really, really great emergency lesson plan for you, or something you can do on a day when you just can't. Another thing that you can do is if you are in the classroom that day and maybe you got some bad news at lunch, or you start to feel a little unwell at lunch and you still have 1 class period to go. I know I've felt that way. That has definitely happened to me, especially when I was pregnant. I knew I had 2 more hours to go. What's the point of using up my days before maternity leave, right? I just need something that I can get through the day with. Save a really highly engaging activity that your students know how to do, like a game. Mafia is incredible for this because the teacher, even though it sounds like a really high prep activity, teach your students how to do this now, because Mafia is a comprehensible input-based game that is really adaptable, especially to a COVID environment, because you can spread out the desks as much as you need to in a circular environment, and you can eliminate the touch point for students and all that stuff. It's a ton of talking, but the students are really doing most of the work. You can, if you want, have a script to go with Mafia and all the things. If you would like some more information on Mafia, put it in the comments below or send me a DM. I can send you a blog post from Martina Becks of exactly how to play it. And I can send you some stories of mine when I used to play it in the classroom and how I used to do it. Because if you do it enough times, you can get it to be where it's very student run. So you can take a lot of the back seat while the students are still getting great input, really great input. Now, the third thing is that that's a really great option to use if you don't really have a sub binder on, or you don't have emergency plans on deck, but you know that you need something like tomorrow. Now, if you are in the position and you're watching this and you know that You just can't. That you're having a day where you just can't. Get a substitute and take a day off. There's nothing wrong with that. I know it's weird, but sometimes we have to hear that and we have to say that. It's okay. It's okay to get a substitute and take the day off. Even if you are in a school where getting a substitute is incredibly hard and your administrator might have to watch your class for you or a colleague might have to watch your class for you. Oh, hi kids coming back from school. It's okay because it is not your fault, nor is it your responsibility that taking off work is that difficult. I've worked in 2 different schools where taking off work was really, really difficult for that exact reason. If you put in place a system where it becomes as easy as possible on your colleagues, if they're the ones who are watching your class, give them something really, really easy to do, really, really easy to implement, or just say, hey, it's okay, like just put them in your class for a little bit and I will get you back the next time. Anytime that you need to leave, I will watch your students for you. Make some sort of barter agreement. I've definitely been in that position before. And if you're in a position where it's very difficult to take off of school because of the lack of substitutes that are in your area or in your district, I've been there. And trust me, I wouldn't ask you to do something that I don't believe is important or I haven't done myself. But that is a part of your workplace rights, to be able to take off work when you need it. And mental health is just as important as physical health. If you are facing a day where you know you cannot serve your students well because of your own well-being, it is completely okay to take the day off. It's completely okay. It's completely okay. You don't have to justify it to anybody. The only person that you need to ask for permission from is yourself. That's the only person. So yesterday we took the day off as a family and all of us were able to go back to life as normal because of it, because of the rest that it gave us. We went to the aquarium and it was really restful, educational for my son, and a ton of fun to see cool sea turtles from the South Carolina environment. So I'll be sharing on my stories with you some really cool things that the sea turtles were up to. You can guess the weight of one of these huge ones if you'd like to see it. But as a reminder for all of you that if you are in a position where you hit a day where you just can't, this is how I suggest you approach it. Beforehand, before that day hits, create yourself some sort of, either for you to use or for a substitute to use, create an emergency sub-binder system. It only takes about 45 minutes to an hour to put the whole thing together. And I certainly didn't ever do it all in one sitting, especially with an online environment, because with the online environment, you're going to need to put, some passwords in there or maybe some instructions for how the students can access things, right? Hi. So what is really helpful is to make all of that go smoother and for you to not feel weird or guilty about taking the time that you need for yourself is make sure that you have readily accessible and right on your desk somewhere that's easy for people to see and find, so that all you have to do is send an email where people can find everything that they need, is subplans that can be used any day of the year. So what does that look like? Once again, it could be an extension of an activity that you've already done or an activity that works at any point during the year that reviews just core concepts of anything that you're doing. And for me, that's high frequency verbs all day, every day. So if you need something like this, if you know that you don't have a sub plan together, send me a message or put in the comments below underneath this video and I will get you a high frequency digital interactive notebook that's compatible with Google and that you can make that your sub plans. It's good for, I would say, either a 90-minute block class or maybe 2 45-minute classes, depending on what you're working with. And it's designed for middle school to high schoolers. Levels 1 through 3. More towards level 2, but what is a level even this year? So that can be really helpful to you. If you have that already set up, then you can feel a lot better about taking that day off. If you are not in the position where you can take time off for yourself, you can give yourself a little bit of a break in the classroom by choosing an activity where your students are doing most of the work lean on something that maybe you've already done before, you're so welcome. Let me know in the comments below which language you need it for. I'd be happy to send it to you. If you are already at work and you can't leave, like you can't find somebody to cover for you, or like this has happened to me, you get a call from school that your 4-year-old, needs to go home because they're not feeling well or whatever it might be, all that jazz. So if you need to do that and you can't find anybody to cover your class for you in the next 45 minutes, then here's what you can do. You can very quickly say, and make it exciting, guys, on va jouer un jeu aujourd'hui. We're going to play a game today. Throw everything out the window. We're going to play a game today. And you can play something like Mafia, or you could play a review game of everything that you've been doing so far. Okay, I'll send it to you in Spanish. And you can do Mafia. Mafia is a really good game for this, or because after your students play it once or twice, the teacher really is not doing that much of the work except for coming up with the stories, and you could write some of those stories beforehand if you need to. Another great one that doesn't require a ton of teacher attention, or I guess I should say a ton of teacher energy, is when you play things like personalized questions and answers, like when you're bouncing off of people, just asking them about their day and you just have a conversation with them in the target language. That is really, really helpful, and it's not quite as much energy as you think it is. And you can bounce a lesson off of that as much as you need to. And then what you could have students do with it is that they could pick out 10 sentences from the conversation that you've all had together and have them write something out and maybe even create a narrative out of it. I've done that before, for real, on the fly, like use your on the fly skills. Another thing that you could do, this is just me thinking off the fly, right? Like you have to think off the fly sometimes when it comes to teaching. Another thing that I've done on the fly before is I've had picture talks are great for very little teacher investment, for when your students are still getting a lot of language, but you're not providing a ton of language in there. Put up a picture of whatever you're talking about, something that has to do, if you're doing a clothing unit, prom photo, and have students write as many sentences as they can about the prom photos, comparing, contrasting what two people are wearing, all of the things. There are lots of different ways that you can put some activities together very quickly with zero prep that don't require a ton of your attention or energy. If you know that you need to just like get the class rolling so that you can go do what you need to do in your personal life and be a better teacher tomorrow, it's okay. It happens. And of course, I will say that really important in terms for logistics, like if you know that you need to take a day off, whether it be a sick day or whether it be something along the lines of like a mental health day, like what my family did yesterday, there is something that you need to do before you start that will make your life a lot easier when you get back. Because how many of you have said, I would freaking love to take a day off. There would be nothing better in this whole world. But you know what's going to happen? I'm going to spend all Saturday planning. And I'm going to have all these emails. And like, what's the point? It's not even going to be worth it at that point. Like taking a day off is going to be more work. Aren't you glad you stayed till the end? Here's how you avoid it. You do something called triage. Oh, yeah. No, the prom outfits, compare and contrast, is so good. And you can get prom outfits from different places in the U.S. I've done that one with my Spanish 2s when they wouldn't freaking stop talking about their prom outfits in English. And I said, oye, vamos a hablar en español. And you just put pictures of prom stuff in Spanish. Like, don't fight the spring fever. Don't fight the spring fever. Roll with it. Go with the flow. Get them to talk about what they love to talk about, and then just give them prom words in Spanish. Tacones, smoking, all those things, and they'll love it. Cuánto cuesta? Like, all the things. Roll with it. Roll with it. Don't fight it. It'll go so much better. It's a lot less energy, too. It's a lot less energy. They'll like it a lot. But something that you need to do before you're in that zone and you might need to take a day off is you need to do something called triage. This is how you make your day off worth it so that it's actually a true break for you. Hopefully it won't take you this long, but yesterday it took me about an hour to do this, so it might be the same for you, I'm assuming. Yesterday, before we took our day off, I spent an hour, so like not a full work day, but I spent an hour in my email inbox and in my planner looking at what I had to do for today and the day before that and thinking about, okay, how can I rearrange this so that this still makes sense and this still feels like a day off? Who do I need to talk to now so that they're not waiting on me for an answer? Who can wait until tomorrow because it's definitely not urgent? And what just doesn't need to happen at all? Like what, and enjoy the fact that there are some things that you don't even have to do that day because you're not going to be there. Like I don't have to take attendance, or, I don't have to read these 8 emails that come in every class period telling me about, who escaped from the lunch police and all that stuff that used to come in my teacher inbox. So a really important thing to do before you ever take off work is, and it won't take you an hour, hopefully, but it might take you a little bit of time, is do that very quick triage. Like don't just like slam your computer and say like, I'm just not going to do anything. It is really helpful for you to actually truly enjoy your day off. If you're anything like me, just do a quick triage and make sure that you have let everybody know who you need to let know. Send anything that you need to, because everybody just appreciates a quick communication, right? Just send them very quickly. Hey, I'm not coming in today. If there's anything urgent, send it to me. I will get back to you first thing tomorrow morning. There's nothing more clear and professional than that. And then any students that were expecting to see you, like if you had any kind of meeting during lunch, I used to have teacher meetings during lunch all the time, just send them a quick reminder. I'm not going to be in today. I will see you tomorrow. Thanks so much for making that meeting, blah, blah, blah. And just take care of it real quick so that everything's good. Doing the quick triage allows you to actually enjoy your day and look forward to the rest that you'll be able to enjoy the next day. Like this morning I woke up and I was like, I feel truly rested and I'm ready to look at my realigned schedule. That is how you can have a mental health day when things are really wearing on you, or maybe you just need a day off in general. Some tips to make sure that you have an emergency sub plan of some sort in place, some things you can do if you can't get somebody to cover your class and you know that you just need to roll on through it because there are those days, and what you need to do to actually truly fully enjoy your time off. You don't need permission from anybody else but yourself to take a day off. I'm sure you deserve it. Thanks so much for joining me, everybody. If you also, in Espanol, need the digital interactive notebook, it's completely free and it's awesome and it's a really good sub-plan to have in your back pocket for those I just can't days. Put something in the comments below or send me a DM and I would be happy to send you the link so that you can get your digital sub binder all straightened out. Y'all have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you next time for Woe Lang Wednesday. Ciao.